I was still staring at the screen when the room began to spin around me. My hands trembled so violently I almost dropped my phone. The number was still there, cold, sharp, empty. Balance, $0. My college fund, the account I'd watched grow since I was 11, wiped clean. My heartbeat thundered in my ears as I pushed back from the dining table. Mom?
Dad.
My voice cracked. Where's my money? My college fund. Why is it empty? My dad didn't even look surprised. Instead, he folded his arms, leaned back in the chair, and said in a calm voice that made my stomach twist, "We used your savings on someone more worthy." More worthy? Mom's spoon clattered against her plate. She didn't look up, not once. She sat there, eyes fixed on her food like she was afraid of meeting mine. Dad, what does that even mean? I stepped closer. My phone screen shook in my hand. Why does it say 0? Where did everything go? He shrugged. No guilt. No panic. No shame. It's done, Maya. Don't push it. Some decisions are above you. Above me? I felt my throat closing. My parents had never been rich, but they'd always said my college fund was sacred. Protected. Guaranteed. And now, who is this person? I whispered. Who is more worthy than me? Dad looked away. His jaw tightened for just a moment, like he was holding in something rehearsed. Mom finally stood up. Your father said don't push it, she murmured, still not meeting my eyes. Her voice sounded memorized. Practiced. Like she'd been repeating it to herself all morning. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The air felt too still, too silent. Then, a knock at the door. Dad's head jerked up. Mom froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. They definitely weren't expecting anyone. Dad walked to the door, with stiff shoulders. When he opened it, my breath caught.
Grandpa.
He never came over without calling first. Ever. His gray eyebrows lifted when he saw me. Then he stepped in slowly, using his cane to balance himself. I heard raised voices, he said calmly. Thought I should check on my granddaughter. Mom swallowed hard. Dad looked annoyed. Grandpa's eyes moved, first to my shaking hand, then to Dad's clenched jaw, then back to me. What's going on? He asked. No one answered. Grandpa nodded slowly, as if confirming a suspicion already forming in his mind. Then he smiled a smile that wasn't a smile at all, sharp, knowing, dangerous. He turned to Dad. So, he said casually, which hospital did you say this worthy person is admitted in?
The room went dead.
Dad's face drained of color. His mouth fell open, but no sound came out. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Her eyes widened like she had just seen a ghost. Dad stammered. I didn't say, I mean you, how did? Grandpa tapped his cane once on the floor. You stole her future, he whispered, his voice shaking with fury. You stole your own daughter's future and hid behind a lie. The air cracked. And suddenly, in that moment, standing between my trembling mother, my speechless father, and my grandfather whose eyes burned with a mix of heartbreak and rage, I understood something terrifying. This betrayal wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was planned.
Practiced.
Hidden. And the truth behind it was darker than anything I'd ever imagined. If you're still watching, make sure you like this story, watch the next part, and subscribe for more gripping tales like this one. Hi, my name is Maya, and this is the story of how a single lie destroyed everything I thought I knew about my family and how I destroyed the lie right back. Grandpa's words kept echoing in my mind long after the house went quiet. You stole her future. My parents barely spoke for the rest of the day. Mom kept wiping the same counter over and over, pretending not to look at me. Dad stayed locked in his room. Every time I passed their door, I swear I could feel guilt and anger battling through the wood. That night, I lay on my bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the moment Dad froze when Grandpa asked about the hospital. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't misunderstanding. It was fear. Something about that lie was holding them hostage. Around 1:14 a.m., my phone buzzed softly under my pillow.
Grandpa.
I sat up immediately. Maya, sweetheart, he whispered. Don't talk loudly. Are you awake? Yes. I whispered back. What's happening? There was a shaky breath on the line. Maya, I didn't want to say more earlier, not in front of them. But I need you to hear this now. I swallowed hard. Grandpa, what do you know? I've been watching your parents for months, he said. They think I'm old and slow, but I see things. His voice dropped lower. Things you need to know. My fingers tightened around the phone. What kind of things? Evidence, he said. I have evidence. My heart thudded. Evidence of what? He cleared his throat. 2 weeks ago, I checked the family trust records. Your fund is connected to the same branch your father uses. I saw large cash withdrawals in both your parents' names. Withdrawals that match the missing money from your college fund. I froze. How large? Everything, he whispered. They took everything. I shut my eyes. Pain hit me like a wave, sharp and hot. And there's more, Grandpa continued. Your father submitted fake receipts for medical aid. And your mother, she exchanged messages with an unknown contact.
He paused.
A person whose number isn't saved, but shows up in her phone logs at odd hours. My breath hitched. Grandpa, what were they talking about? I couldn't hear the calls, he said, voice thickening, but I did see one message she forgot to delete. It said, "We took care of it. She won't know." My stomach dropped. They didn't help anyone, Maya, Grandpa said quietly. They paid off a secret neither of them wants exposed. A cold shiver crawled up my spine. What secret? I whispered. That, he said, is what we must find out. Then his voice grew hard. And they fear losing their reputation more than losing you. The words stabbed deeper than anything my parents had ever done. I pressed the heel of my hand against my eyes, trying not to cry. So what do I do? Grandpa's voice softened. If you want revenge, if you want the truth, you must let them think you're powerless. A pause. Pretend to accept their explanation. Make them relax. People with secrets get sloppy when they feel safe. I nodded even though he couldn't see. So, I act like everything is fine? Yes, he said. Then gather information silently. Watch them. Listen. Search. Don't confront them. Not yet. Their lie is bigger than you know. When we hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time. Powerless. Pretend. Observe. I wiped my tears and forced myself to breathe slowly. The next morning, I began my performance. At breakfast, Dad watched me like he expected a meltdown. Mom kept wringing her hands. I swallowed my anger and said softly, I'm sorry for yelling yesterday. I trust you guys. If you say the money helped someone, then I believe you. Dad's shoulders loosened. Mom exhaled in visible relief. They believed my lie instantly, and that hurt more than everything else. But I stayed committed. For the next several days, I watched them without blinking. Dad made late-night calls outside the house. Mom kept hiding her phone the second I walked into a room. Their whispers stopped whenever I passed. Then the strange things started. Receipts tucked under couch cushions printed with false names. A locked drawer in Dad's home office that wasn't locked before. Mom visiting a building downtown and lying about where she'd been. Every night, I wrote down everything in a notebook hidden under my mattress. But nothing prepared me for what I found next. It was a rainy Thursday evening. Dad had forgotten his laptop bag in the living room. I walked past innocently, then noticed something sticking out. A printed email. The subject line made my blood run cold. Regarding the child, final settlement.
Child?
What child? I picked it up with shaking hands. It wasn't an email to a doctor, or a hospital, or charity. It was a message thread between my parents and the same unknown contact Grandpa had mentioned. But the part that destroyed me was the sentence in the middle. Once the payment clears, Maya can never find out who the child really is. My throat closed.
Child.
Payment. Never find out. I sat there gripping the paper, unable to breathe, because suddenly, the fear in my parents' eyes made sense. The secrecy, the quiet arguments, the missing money, and the word that echoed in my mind over and over.
Child.
Someone out there. Someone connected to them. Someone they'd steal my entire future to protect.
Could be connected to me.
The room spun. My entire body went numb. And right then, right there, my world cracked open. Because I realized the truth might destroy more than my trust. It might destroy who I thought I was. I didn't sleep the night I found that printed email. I just sat on the floor of my room, knees pressed to my chest, staring at the words again and again, words that wouldn't stop burning into my mind. Never find out who the child really is. By morning, my eyes felt swollen and dry, but I already knew what I had to do. Pretend. Smile.
Wait.
And then tear their world apart. I slipped the email back into Dad's laptop bag before he woke up. My hands were steady now. Too steady. At breakfast, Mom hummed softly as she scrambled eggs, but her hum cracked every few seconds like even she didn't believe the peaceful act she was putting on. Dad walked in with his fake calm. "Morning, Maya," he said, voice warm, steady, almost proud. I forced a smile.
Morning.
I wondered if he knew that his whole life was one thread away from unraveling. Later that afternoon, while they both left for work, I started digging again. Grandpa had told me once, people who lie always leave fingerprints. He was right. This time, I dug deeper into their cloud backups, their hidden message folders, their deleted files. It took hours, but then one notification popped up on Dad's old tablet that he still kept under the couch. A synced message he forgot to disconnect. I froze. It was from the same unknown number. Unknown. "Her tuition is paid. Tell Maya's father the surgery went well." My heart pounded so fast it hurt. Her. Tuition.
Surgery.
I scrolled up. More messages appeared, hidden threads, small conversations, payments, photos. Then I saw it. A picture of a girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old, smiling. Same brown eyes as mine. Same dimple on the left cheek. Dad's smile. And beneath the photo, a caption. "She's growing fast. Looks like you." My breath shattered. My father had a second family. A hidden child from an affair years ago. A child they were secretly supporting. A child my college fund had been drained to protect. My hands shook violently. Every message I scrolled through cut deeper. They had paid for private school. They had paid for surgery. They had paid for clothes, camps, birthdays. All with my money. My future for his mistake. My dreams for a secret he didn't want exposed. It felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I felt discarded. Replaced. Like I didn't matter. Like I was just the child they tolerated, while the worthy one got everything. My phone buzzed suddenly. "Grandpa." "Maya," he said softly the second I answered. "I know that tone. Tell me what happened." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe for a moment. "They used my savings," I whispered, "to take care of his other child." There was a long silence on the line, so long, I thought he hadn't heard me. Then Grandpa released a sound I'd never heard from him before, a trembling exhale filled with heartbreak and rage. "Oh, sweetheart," he whispered. "I am so sorry." I swallowed, voice breaking. I wasn't enough for them. I was never enough. "No," Grandpa said firmly. "You were enough. They simply chose to be less." That should have made me cry. Instead, it made me stronger. "Grandpa," I whispered, my heart freezing into something sharp. "If they think someone else is worthy." I stood, staring at the printed email still half visible in Dad's bag. "I'll show them what unworthy truly feels like." "Maya." "No." I cut in. "They stole from me, lied to me, replaced me. Now they get to feel what destruction tastes like." Grandpa was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was low. "If revenge is what you want, then I won't stop you." A pause. "But be smart. Be patient. Don't let anger blind you." I wiped my face. "Grandpa, I know exactly what I'm doing." And I did. The plan formed slowly at first, like smoke gathering before a fire, and then sharply, boldly, clearly. Expose the affair. Destroy their reputation. Reclaim every dollar they stole. and let them watch their perfect image burn. But revenge isn't loud at the beginning. Revenge whispers. That night, when my parents came home, I hugged Mom. I told Dad I understood. I even laughed at the dinner table. They believed every second of it. And while they relaxed, thinking I was too broken to fight back, I quietly moved through the house like a shadow. Copying files. Saving screenshots. Forwarding proof to a hidden drive. Collecting voicemail passwords. Tracing money transfers. Recording their phone calls when they whispered at night. Piece by piece, their lies piled up in my hands like ammunition. But then something happened, something I didn't prepare for, something that changed everything I thought I knew. 3 days later, while searching Mom's messages again, I found a thread I hadn't seen before. A message addressed to the mother of the other child. But this one wasn't about money, or school,
Or surgery.
This one said, "We need to tell Maya the truth eventually, before she finds out the hard way." I frowned. What truth? Another message loaded underneath. "She deserves to know the situation isn't what she thinks." My grip on the phone tightened. Not what I think. Not what I think. Then the last message appeared. The message that stopped my heart cold. It's time she knows the girl is not just her father's child. My vision blurred. Not just my father's child? A cold, horrible thought rose in my chest. What if?
No. No. No.
But the more I stared at the message, the more the world tilted beneath me. Because there was only one meaning. One impossible, terrifying meaning. The hidden child might also be connected to Mom, which meant she wasn't just my dad's secret daughter. She might be my half-sister from 2 parents, a sister they both hid, a sister they both protected, a sister they robbed me for. I dropped the phone. My entire body went numb. I had prepared myself to destroy them, but I wasn't prepared for them to have destroyed me first. My hands were still shaking when I picked up the phone from the floor. Mom's message, "She is not just his child," kept echoing through my mind like a nightmare I couldn't wake from. A sister they both hid, a sister they both stole my future for. I wasn't angry anymore.
I was past that.
This betrayal felt sharper, colder, like it had been carved into my life long before I found out. But if they wanted me blind, quiet, obedient, they picked the wrong daughter. That night, while the house slept, I created a fake online identity. A different photo, a different background story, an account that looked like a struggling single mother seeking support and friendship. Then I searched. It took me 3 hours to find her, the hidden child's mother. Her profile was small, private, careful, but not careful enough. I sent her a simple message from my fake account. "Hi. I saw your post about your daughter's surgery. I'm going through something similar. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." I didn't expect a reply that fast, but she responded in less than 10 minutes. "Thank you. I've been overwhelmed. It's hard doing this alone, well, mostly alone." Mostly alone. I swallowed hard. We talked for hours about children, schools, money, fear, mistakes. She thought I was a friend. She thought I understood her. In a twisted way, I did. The next day, she sent voice notes. Her voice was soft, tired, emotional. Voice note 1. Her father helps sometimes, secretly. He can't let anyone know. His wife must never find out.
His wife.
My mother. Voice note 2. I feel guilty taking the money, but what choice do I have? He said his daughter Maya is almost grown. She won't miss it. I felt my blood boil. Won't miss it? I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles whitened. She kept talking, telling me everything without realizing who I was. Screenshots of payments. Messages from my father. Photos of handwritten agreements. Even a voice note where my father said, "We'll keep Maya out of it. She doesn't need to know this mistake existed." Mistake. He called a child a mistake. He called me blind. He called my future something he could sacrifice like garbage. I collected everything, every file, every photo, every confession, and moved it into a hidden folder on my personal drive. But the worst part came that evening. I walked downstairs for water and heard whispers coming from my parents' bedroom. Hushed. Urgent. I pressed my phone against the door and hit record.
Dad.
We just need to keep Maya blind until she moves out. After that, she can't do anything about it.
Mom.
She's calmer now. Maybe she believed us.
Dad.
She better. If she finds out the girl is, actually. His voice dropped lower. I couldn't catch the next part.
But I didn't need to.
The knife had already been buried deep. They didn't just hide the truth. They planned it. They rehearsed it. They calculated how long to keep me in the dark. It wasn't guilt. It was strategy. Premeditated betrayal. When I tiptoed back to my room, Grandpa was already calling. Maya, he whispered. You're breathing too fast. What happened? I told him everything. Every message. Every voice note. Every word my parents said behind that door. For a long time, Grandpa didn't speak. Then, child, they didn't just betray you. His voice cracked. They erased you from their conscience. A cold calm settled over me. Quiet, sharp, immovable. Then it's time, I said. For what? Grandpa asked. For revenge. With Grandpa's guidance, we built something dangerous. A digital folder. A vault. A bomb made of secrets. I named it Worthy Truth. Inside it I placed screenshots of their payments. My father's messages calling me the blind one. Voice notes from the other woman. The printed email about the child. Photos of the hidden girl who shared my eyes. The recording of my parents planning to keep me blind. Transfer receipts that matched every missing dollar. Mom's message revealing the girl wasn't just Dad's child. Every piece of evidence stolen with the same quietness they used to steal from me. Grandpa helped me encrypt it, package it, schedule it. Revenge is timing, he told me. You strike too early and they escape. You strike too late and you lose your power. I scheduled the folder to auto-send to my parents' church group, Dad's workplace HR,
Mom's sisters,
the school board, the hidden woman's relatives, a few local reporters, and Grandpa insisted my parents themselves. But not yet.
No.
Not until the perfect moment. Not until the moment when losing their reputation would hurt more than anything else in their lives. I stared at the screen, at the countdown silently ticking in the corner, waiting, watching, preparing. The entire world was about to know who they really were. But the revenge wasn't just digital.
No.
Something far bigger was coming. Something that would make them feel the one emotion they never thought I'd be capable of making them feel.
Fear.
The days leading up to the PDA event felt like waiting for a storm I had built with my own hands. Every morning, I woke up knowing the clock on the Worthy Truth folder was ticking. Every night, I replayed my parents' words in my head. Keep Maya blind. She won't know. She won't miss it. But they forgot one simple thing. Blinded daughters learn to see in the dark. That Saturday, the school parking lot buzzed with families, cars, teachers, and parents showing off their model children. My parents were always loudest among them, bragging, smiling, performing. Not today. Today their stage would be their downfall. Grandpa walked beside me, steadying himself with his cane. He wore his best jacket and a look I had never seen on him before, half sorrow, half pride, and something fierce beneath it. You're sure? He asked softly as we approached the auditorium. Yes, I said. They built their reputation on lies. I'm just removing the foundation. He nodded slowly. Then walk tall, Maya. You earned this moment. The moment we reached the double doors, I could already hear my father's voice booming across the hall. And above all, we believe in protecting our children through honesty, responsibility, and strong family values. The irony nearly choked me. We stepped inside quietly, slipping into the back row. The hall was full. Teachers lined the sides, parents filled the seats, students sat cross-legged in front. My mother stood near the front with the other committee members, smiling too brightly. She didn't see me.
But Dad?
He was on stage, holding a microphone like a preacher, gesturing proudly as he spoke about morals he didn't have. Behind him, the school's projector displayed a slideshow of model families. I pulled out my phone. Grandpa gave me a small nod. Dad continued, because family is the foundation of every child's future. I clicked one button. Just one. The projector blinked, then froze. Then the slideshow disappeared. The next slide appeared. Not the school's.
Mine.
Slide 1. A screenshot of a bank statement. Withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal, every dollar from my college fund. A wave of gasps rolled through the hall. Dad turned slowly, confusion creeping across his face. The next slide switched automatically. Slide 2. A cash transfer receipt labeled for tuition and surgery, confidential. A mother in the audience whispered, "Is that his name on the transfer?" Slide 3. A photo of the hidden child, smiling, his exact eyes stamped onto her face. Dad staggered. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Slide 4. A message from Dad. "We'll keep Maya blind. She doesn't need to know this mistake existed." A teacher gasped loudly. Murmurs rose like a growing fire. Slide 5. Mom's message. "She must never know the girl is not just his child." The room exploded. Voices. Shouting.
Shock.
My mom's knees buckled. She fainted before anyone could catch her. Dad lunged toward the laptop on stage, but it was too late. I walked down the center aisle slowly.
Calmly.
Gracefully. The whispers parted like waves. "Is that Maya?" "Oh my God." He said he had the perfect family. "Look at those receipts." Dad shouted. "Stop this. Stop this right now." But his voice cracked. His authority died in the air. I reached the foot of the stage. Every eye was on me. Dad stared at me, face pale, sweating, trembling. "Maya," he pleaded, "you don't understand." I raised my voice, steady and cold. "This is where my savings went." Silence swept the hall. I pointed to the photo of the other child. Someone more worthy. The hall erupted.
Shouts.
Screams. PTA members arguing. Teachers demanding explanations. Parents pulling out their phones to record everything. Dad stumbled back. Mom, now awake, clung to the edge of a chair, her face wet with tears and humiliation. It was everything they feared, everything they tried to prevent, everything they stole from me to avoid. And I watched them fall apart without flinching. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I stepped onto the stage. Dad reached for me, but I moved out of his grasp like he was a stranger. Into the microphone, I said, "For years, they preached about honesty while building a second family behind everyone's back. My college fund paid for their secret. My future paid for their lies. This," I gestured to the screen, "is the truth they called me blind for not seeing." People stared in horror. Teachers whispered, "I can't believe this." Parents covered their children's ears. Dad shouted again, "Turn that OFF." But Grandpa stepped forward from the back, raising his voice. "Let her speak." And the entire hall turned silent again. I lowered the microphone. Then I said one quiet, sharp sentence. "And this isn't all." The room froze. Eyes widened. Dad shook his head violently. "Maya, don't do this." I thought watching their perfect world collapse would satisfy me. After the PDA explosion, after the whispers, after the shame, they still tried to pretend they were victims. That was the moment I realized these people would never change unless I forced the truth into daylight and into the law. Grandpa held my hand the morning we filed the report. "It's time, Maya. They took what was yours. Now take it back." The bank statements and receipts proved everything. My college fund. My inheritance. Every savings account tied to my name. All used illegally. All gone. When the court froze their accounts, I was there. My mother's scream echoed through the hall like a wounded animal. My father's face turned gray, as though someone drained the life out of him. Then he looked at me. "Maya, you're doing this to your own parents?" I'd never felt so calm.
No.
You did this to your daughter the day you chose a secret family over your real one. Grandpa hired the best lawyer, sharp, unforgiving, and motherly in the strangest way. She guided me through everything. The lawsuit was brutal. I sat through every session, hearing the details of my betrayal repeated in cold legal language.
Fraud.
Misappropriation. Emotional damages. Violation of guardianship duties. When the judge finally ruled in my favor, I didn't cry. My parents did. Their accounts gone. Their property seized. Their reputation destroyed. Their influence dead. And then Grandpa did something I didn't expect. He stood up in court, pulled out a folded document, and said, "I am transferring my entire estate to Maya alone. She is the only one who understands what it means to protect a family legacy." My parents collapsed onto the bench as if someone sucked the air out of the room. People whispered. I felt my heart pound with a mixture of triumph and something else. Victory? Relief?
No.
Emptiness. Because beneath all the destruction, beneath every revenge, beneath every exposed lie, I still didn't know the deepest truth. The one thing Grandpa refused to tell me. The reason my parents' fear was far greater than losing money, status, or dignity. A truth, he said, would shake the foundation of everything you think you know. And standing outside the courthouse, wind brushing against my face, I finally asked him, "Grandpa, what are you not telling me?" He sighed, long, heavy, tired. Then he whispered, "Maya, it's time you learn what your parents were really trying to hide." Grandpa's eyes looked older than I had ever seen them, older than the wrinkles on his face, older than the pain he carried. "Maya, what your parents feared wasn't the affair. It was you discovering what they stole long before that." My breath caught. Stole what? He didn't soften it. He didn't cushion it. He just dropped the truth like a hammer meant to crush the past. The savings your parents misused, the money they claimed was family funds, it was originally my gift to you when you were born. I blinked. Your what? I opened an account in your name, he continued. Set aside enough to take you through the best schools, your future business, your first home, everything. I wanted your life to start with abundance. But 2 years after your first birthday, your parents forged my signature. They drained it. Every last coin. My chest tightened so sharply, I had to grip the railing beside me. 18 years, I whispered. They stole from me for 18 years? Grandpa nodded with shame. Not his, but the kind that comes from sharing a truth you wish wasn't real. They kept you close only because they needed control. Every Christmas gift you thought they bought, every school fee they claimed to pay, most of it came from money meant for you. They built their lifestyle on your foundation. My childhood replayed like a broken film. Mom complaining about money, Dad claiming responsibilities are hard. All the times they made me feel guilty for wanting simple things. And the whole time, they were living on my inheritance. A heat rose inside me, slow, burning, unstoppable. So the savings they used for the other child's surgery. I swallowed hard. That was stolen from me too? Grandpa's silence was my answer. The world tilted. The betrayal was no longer just about the affair, or the humiliation, or the lies. It was deeper, older, rooted in the very beginning of my life. They didn't just steal my money, Grandpa, I said quietly. They stole my childhood, my chances, my dreams. He placed a hand on my shoulder. And that is why I disown them today. Legally. Permanently. I stared at him. You disown them? They are no longer part of my lineage, he said. My estate belongs to you alone. Not as revenge, but as restoration. Restoration. The word sat inside me like a pulse. When I finally walked into the house where my parents now sat, broke, shattered, and silent, I didn't tremble. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I just stood before them with the truth they had run from for nearly 2 decades. You stole my dreams, I said calmly. For a child who wasn't even yours to raise. You built a life from my inheritance, my future, my foundation, and then called me ungrateful. My father broke first. His face twisted as if something inside him finally snapped. My mother followed, tears pouring, hands shaking, muttering apologies that felt too small, too late, too hollow. I watched them crumble. Not because I wanted to see their pain, but because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the powerless child in their story. My vengeance wasn't just revenge. It wasn't cruelty. It wasn't spite. It was reclamation. Everything they stole, my identity, my future, my worth, I was finally taking it all back. But even then, even after every truth was out, a single question remained, lingering like a shadow behind Grandpa's earlier hesitation. If they stole from me 18 years ago, what exactly were they trying to pay off back then? After the courtroom victories, the legal settlements, and the public shaming, the world felt quieter. But there was still one piece I had to settle, the child my parents had stolen from me, the one they had used my inheritance to raise. I didn't feel anger when I thought of him. Not exactly. I felt responsibility. Responsibility for the life my parents had twisted into a secret I had been forced to discover. Grandpa and I drove to the small house where the woman lived, the mother of the child. I didn't announce myself. I didn't yell. I knocked politely, and when she opened the door, I saw exhaustion in her eyes, lines of worry carved too deep for a woman in her 30s. But I didn't see fear. Not really. "Hi," I said softly. "I'm Maya." She blinked, confused. "Maya?" "I know the truth," I said. "I know what my parents did. I know everything. And I want to help." Her face stiffened. Anger, suspicion, and relief all at once. "I want to pay for his school," I said, almost gently. "Tuition, books, anything he needs. I want him to have what he deserves. But there's one condition." Her eyes narrowed. "They must never see him again. Never. My parents have betrayed everyone involved. They cannot touch his life." For a moment, she didn't speak. Then she nodded, almost immediately. Relief washed over her. She trusted me, even though I was a stranger. I paid the first semester's tuition on the spot and arranged for everything to be handled through her alone. Later, I blocked every legal avenue my parents could have used to access the child. Any claim, any visitation, any contact, they were denied. Permanently. They had spent my childhood building lies. Now I had built walls around their access. My parents called me that night. Their voices trembled. "Maya, please," my father said. "Forgive us," my mother begged, tears streaming. "We made mistakes. We can make it right." I laughed softly, a sound that startled them. Then I spoke, slowly, deliberately. "I'm saving my love for someone more worthy." They went silent, broken, jobless, disgraced. For the first time in my life, I felt the scales of justice even, not just legally but morally, emotionally, spiritually. And then I turned away from them. I didn't look back. The months that followed were nothing short of rebirth. I rebuilt my life with what my parents had tried to steal from me, but this time it was mine, fully, entirely, unquestionably. I launched my own business, invested wisely, traveled freely, and surrounded myself with people who valued me, not as a child to control, not as an inheritance to exploit, but as Maya, complete and unbreakable. I kept Grandpa close. His wisdom guided me like a lighthouse through every storm. And my parents? They faded into irrelevance. The offices where my father had thrived replaced him. My mother's clients vanished. Their social circle abandoned them. The world forgot them quickly because the world had no patience for liars and thieves, especially when the person they had wronged rose above it all. I didn't gloat. I didn't seek revenge and cruelty. I simply lived. Stronger, richer, happier,
Free.
Every time I saw the child, laughing, learning, safe, I felt a quiet, fierce satisfaction. He had a future my parents never intended him to have, and I was the one who had ensured it. And me? I was finally the daughter I was always meant to be, unbroken, untouchable, and wholly worthy.